What's going on, guys? Supersavage789 here, bringing you guys a video telling what if Bardock and Gine went to Earth Part 7. In the last part, we covered how the Saiyan Saga went with the changes made by Bardock and Gine's presence. After Raditz turned good over the year of training, a big fight began between the two Saiyans and the massive party, leading to both Piccolo and Krillin's death. We left off with Raditz, Nappa and Vegeta infiltrating the Frieza Force, and everyone else preparing to go to Namek to revive their fallen comrades, so we'll pick back up from there. Mr. Popo would show Bulma the Namekian ship like normal, or she'd begin to fix it up. Maybe with knowledge of Saiyan technology, the ship could be done quicker, however we'll say it takes the same amount of time. Trunks would love watching his mother work, and even tries to help her with it. During this time, the Z-Fighters would all be telepathically contacted by two familiar figures. Piccolo and Krillin tell everyone that they're with a master in Otherworld, known as King Kai. They're going to do some training to make sure they don't fall behind, so that when they're revived, they can show the Saiyans that they aren't the strongest race. Eventually, the Namekian ship would be finished, with the question on who's going being present. Bulma obviously has to go as she pilots the ship. Maki and Gine would decide to come, since Piccolo had died, who is their family. Yamcha and Roshi also decide to go, since Krillin died, and they want to bring him back. Gohan and Chaozu decide to stay on Earth, as Gohan isn't really a fighter, and Chaozu wants to stay by his best friend's side. Trunks approaches his mother, asking if he can come. Bulma would tell Trunks that he can't. She let them fight the Saiyans because there were so many people there to protect him. Out in space, anything could go wrong. If they somehow died, then Earth would be left defenseless anyway. So with a heavy heart, Trunks would stay on Earth. The five then enter the ship and head off to Namek. On the ship, everyone except Bulma would begin to do image training since it passes the time, plus it prepares them for the upcoming battle with the Frieza Force. Their power levels upon getting to Namek would be Yamcha, 10,143, Roshi, 7,725, Gine, 11,191, Maki, 22,121. Meanwhile, the three Saiyans would land on Frieza Planet 79. They decide to lay it low for a little while to not draw any attention to themselves, but unfortunately for them, they run into Qui. He mentions how he thought Raditz had died, and that's too bad he didn't. The Saiyans would walk away, with Raditz asking for dibs when they kill him. By the way, the Saiyans' power levels after Zenkai's are Vegeta 24,000, Nappa 5,333, and Raditz 16,000. Qui would report to Frieza that the Saiyans had returned, leading to Frieza wanting to see them. Zarbon would locate the Saiyans and escort them back to Frieza's ship. There, they'd all bow to him, fainting respect, asking what he wants. He asked for a mission report about Earth, leading to Vegeta explaining how it blew up in the fight with the Saiyans. Frieza would be rather annoyed by this. It took a year for them to travel there, during which they did nothing, only for them to destroy the planet instead of terraforming it. It's the last time they make a mockery out of his kindness. He would slowly float towards them as he charged up a death beam, contemplating on who he wants to kill first. Despite his speak up, Nappa asks Frieza to wait. He tells him that they acquired intel about these things called Dragon Balls, which can grant him any wish. He then also states that they're on Namek. Frieza decides to spare the Saiyans for now, however if they're lying, there isn't a place in the universe they'll be safe. Upon exiting the room, Vegeta hits Nappa hard, calling him an idiot for giving up that intel. It means that Frieza will get his wish for immortality. Raditz also realizes that his friends will be there as well, and they don't even have a way to contact them. So for very different reasons, the Saiyans would all rocket off to Namek. The pods are low on fuel though, meaning that it will take longer to get there. On Namek, the Z-Fighters would arrive before anyone else. They catch their breath and stretch their feet, preparing to get ready to look for the first Dragon Ball. Before they leave though, they sense some horrifying power levels approaching the planet. The Frieza Force arrives at the same time, ready to gather the Dragon Balls. Using the communication on the ship, they contact Earth to let them know what happened. Realizing what had happened, Kakarot, Bardock, and Tenshinhan would be given sensor beams and get the ship from Dr. Briefs heading out into the cosmos. On the ship, Tenshinhan would begin to meditate, which would hone his senses. He then senses a key signature that isn't either of the Saiyans. In one of the closets, Trunks is hiding. A stowaway. He explains himself to the trio, stating how he just wanted to help. Bardock asks Trunks coldly if he thinks he could take a life. If necessary, could he kill an attacker if it meant saving his friends and family? If he can, then he can come. But if not, he's just another target. Trunks doesn't know if he can answer that question. Since they're already in space, Kakarot tells his son that he can train with them while he thinks of an answer. If he decides he can't help, then Trunks can just get on the other ship. He agrees and begins to train with the others. Back on Namek, the discussion would arise about using the Namekian ship and going home. None of them would want to, however, bearing some guilt for the deaths of Krillin and Piccolo. So Yamcha, Gine, and Maki all leave to go get the Dragon Balls, leaving Roshi to guard Bulma since he can't fly. The trio are able to gather true Dragon Balls, making sure to suppress themselves while they move. When arriving at Mori's village, he realizes that they'd move a lot quicker if they had a guide to help them. While he would go, he's too old and also has a village to protect. So instead, Dende and Kago would go, with the trio to help look around. Over with the Saiyans, they'd arrive on Namek. However, when they do, immediately they'd be confronted by Qui, who would ask them what they're doing there. Raditz would step up to fight Qui, assuming a battle stance. The duo begin to fight, with Raditz having the upper hand due to his refined martial arts style. While Raditz is distracted, Vegeta and Nappa would suppress themselves and sneak away, getting rid of the liability. So after Raditz kills Qui with a weekend blast, he'd be left alone. Deciding to cut his losses, Raditz would begin to look for his friends. He finds them at the cave and explains what happened, with the Saiyans and the Frieza Force apologizing for what had happened. Speaking up, Dende mentions how the Grand Elder may be able to help them think of what to do during this time. So Gine and Yamcha go with Kago and Dende to Guru's. During this time, Vegeta and Nappa would find the Namekian village Vegeta does in canon, where they kill the Namekians and hide the Dragon Ball. The Frieza Force would acquire 3 of the Dragon Balls, with Dodoria, Zarbon, and Apul being sent out to look for the others. Vegeta and Nappa are able to kill Dodoria, but Zarbon would still manhandle them, leading to them being brought to the ship to be healed up. Something to note is that Nappa's wounds are much more severe here than Vegeta was, due to him being so much weaker than Zarbon. Meanwhile, Gine and Yamcha would make it to Guru's. They meet Guru, who would give them the Dragon Ball and awaken their potentials, which boosts Yamcha's power level to 50,715 and Gine's power level to 55,955. With this boost in power, they decide to return to the cave and inform the gang about the boost so they too can get it. Back in the ship, Vegeta would recover faster than Nappa and breaks out his pod. Since Nappa is taking too long, he'd abandon him in the ship, stealing the Dragon Balls and fleeing. Zarbon would then go in hot pursuit. They'd ultimately both find their ways to the cave, which enrages Raditz. He calls Vegeta a traitorous rat and that he'll put him in his place. He also tells the others to flee with the Dragon Ball, which they do. A 3-way battle would then begin between Raditz, Vegeta, and Zarbon. After Vegeta's Zenkai, he'd be way above both Raditz and Zarbon, so his fight would be rather easy for the prince. He would kill Zarbon in a few seconds and return his attention to Raditz. Here he'd manhandle Raditz, beating him into a bloody pulp. Instead of killing him instantly like he could, Vegeta decides to torture him so he knows who is top dog. Before he can kill Raditz though, his punch is caught by someone stronger than him. It was Gine. She demands Vegeta takes his hand off her baby, and she kicks him away. Gine and Vegeta then begin to fight, with Gine demolishing him, thanks to her new boost. She leaves Vegeta on the ground at her mercy. She tells Vegeta to never touch her family again and spits on him, taking Raditz and leaving Vegeta alone in the dust. Meanwhile, on Frieza's ship, Nappa would finally awaken from his pod, where he questions where Vegeta is. He goes to exit the room when Frieza enters, glad to see Nappa awake. Nappa is scared for his life, but Frieza tells him not to be worried. Nappa is his favourite pet monkey, so he won't dispose of him just yet. After all, he's the very reason they're all there. Frieza tells Nappa that Vegeta decides to leave him instead, as he'd rather the Dragon Balls than saving his comrade's life. It leaves Nappa somewhat upset at this betrayal, as he swears he'll kill Vegeta when he finds him. To this, Frieza would sigh as he states Nappa won't have a chance at his current strength. If he wants a strength to best Vegeta, then Frieza can grant it to him, but it will hurt. Nappa would agree, so Frieza places Nappa in a near-death state, and then puts him back in the healing chamber, repeating this process repeatedly to give him Senkais. Vegeta would be guarding the remaining Dragon Balls, as he has to go into hiding with them to heal, unaware of the Dragon Radar. The Z-Fighters would capture the one he left in the river, and would decide to head off to Guru's to get the remaining people's potential awakened. So the gang would all decide to venture off to get the boost, leaving Bulma with a ship. They make it there, leading to Guru deciding to awaken Maki, Roshi, and Raditz's power levels. This boosts their power level, with Maki being at 110,605, Roshi at 38,625, and Raditz at 106,665. Raditz will still be quite injured, however. Vegeta makes his way to Guru's to investigate the boost, where he is shocked at how outclassed he is. He tries to keep his distance, but Roshi would spot him, informing the others. Maki prepared to take him down, but that's when they all sense the Ginyu Force. Here though, they won't be that scary since they overpower them in numbers and in power. The Ginyu Force meet up with Frieza as well as Nappa. His body would be a lot more scarred, but his power level would be high, being 177,767. He'd keep his power level suppressed to not raise any alarms, however. The Ginyu Force would take Nappa with them as they rush off to go and reclaim the Dragon Balls. Ultimately, they'd locate the Z-Fighters as well as Vegeta and the Dragon Balls. Nappa would be enraged upon seeing Vegeta, as he calls dibs. He keeps his power level suppressed as he lunges at Vegeta, beginning to beat up the already injured Prince. Goldo would stop time and steals the Dragon Balls, giving it to Ginyu, who would begin to take it back to Frieza. Raditz would sit on the sidelines since he's injured, leaving the other four to fight the remaining Ginyu Force members. Roshi would begin to fight Goldo. While Goldo possesses a threat with his time stop, Roshi's knowledge of martial arts allows him to avoid any attack Goldo throws, so he knocks Goldo out and then finishes him off. Yamcha would fight Jeice, with the duo having a copycat fight. Yamcha demands Jeice not copy him and that he'll show him. The duo create their ultimate attacks, which again leaves them screaming at each other to stop copying each other. Yamcha's technique would be superior though, as he can bend it midair, allowing him to kill Jeice. Gine would be fighting Burr, which he wouldn't really struggle with at all, knocking him out. As for Maki, she'd left with Recoome, who she defeated quite easily, calling him a hard-headed idiot. His fighting style doesn't have finesse. As for Vegeta, he'd be on the brink of death due to Nappa's onslaught of attacks. Nappa tells Vegeta that he shouldn't have abandoned him and left him for dead. Now he'll return the favor. He grabs Vegeta's hand and throws him into the air, firing a mouth blast at him. Before it lands, a hand knocks out of the way. Bardock catches Vegeta and throws him to Trunks as he cracks his knuckles, ready for combat. But that's where I'm going to leave it here. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below what's going to happen in the next part. If you're enjoying the series, why not hit the like button? It supports the channel and lets me know you want to see another part. And yeah, bye.